is the law of the mirror. But before we do that, I want to make sure that Dale's cut on the recording, and she's shaking her head that she has. So we'll get started. The law of the mirror simply says this: you must see value in yourself to add value to others. But before we go into that lesson, I just want to share some information about me and about why I'm doing this and who I am. And so, you've heard me say that I'm a certified John Maxwell coach. I'm a member of Toastmasters. I'm a part of Business Network International, member of the Stephen Minister team in a former church. I served 34 years in the Air Force as a recruiter and career counselor. I also did a few other things. I actually worked on F-16s and A-7s as a weapons mechanic. So I used to get my hands dirty. Great Basic H used to get them clean. I was a human resources director for a state agency. And perhaps the most important part of anything for me is that I'm a Shackley key coordinator and part of the Hatchell team. But there's one more thing that I think that is important, that is that I'm a husband, a father, and a grandfather. And this is a picture of our family. There's one person missing, my son, who was not with us in Orlando, but we made a trip over to Disney with the grandkids while we were there, and you can see our beautiful family there. It was a really hot day that day when we were at Disney. We had just run through the sprinkler system. Well, it wasn't a sprinkler system, but a misting system right outside of where Minnie Mouse was located there. And then we went in and had our picture made with the beautiful and fancy Miss Minnie. We had a great time. And today we're going to continue our study on the 15 laws of growth and jumpstart your growth. And while we want to talk about how both of these books fit into our personal development. I don't want us to forget that this is not just about growing ourselves, but it's also about growing our Shackley businesses and taking our business to the next level. So today, as I share the message, I want you to try to correlate the things that I share, not just from a personal development standpoint, but how it impacts your Shackley business and how it will impact you in growing your Shackley business. The goals for this session are basically goals that I have, is that I want to help you realize your potential, because potential is that unknown about all of us. We have so much more potential that we just don't tap into. And so I want to help us try to grow into reaching a higher level of our potential. There's statistics that say that we only use about 10% of our existing potential. So if we could increase that by 1 or 2% a week, a month, a year, it can have great impact on our personal development as well as our business. I want us to develop a belief in ourselves, and I'll share a lot about that today. Well, it's going to be some information about that today because I'm only hitting the highlights. I'm not going real in depth in all of this material. If you really want to learn more about it, then I would encourage you to read the book. I want you to increase your level of success, and I think that's very possible with utilizing the information that we share and that I share with you over the next few weeks. Perhaps one of the most important parts of personal development in my life and what I want to impart in you is that we have to become intentional in everything we do. And there's another study that I do that I help people understand and develop processes to living a more intentional life. Perhaps something we can share at a later date. So as we think about the law of the mirror, it's pretty clear that if we're talking about a mirror, we're going to be looking in a mirror, and the person that we're going to be looking at, of course, is ourselves. As I said earlier, the law of the mirror says that you must see value in yourself to add value to others. Dennis Waitley puts it this way. He says that personal development is the belief that you are worth the effort, the time, and the energy needed to develop yourself. Now, I know you can take those same words and you can say them about Shackley. Shackley is exactly the same way. It's worth the effort, the time, and the energy to grow our businesses. But before you can grow your business, you need to grow yourself. And before you can grow yourself, you must know yourself. And so today I want to talk about that in the context of growing our potential and the power of growing our potential. And so we're going to look at developing ourselves and our potential. And what John says in the book, The 15 Laws of Growth, that the reason people don't grow in their potential is mostly because they have low self-esteem. And when we have low self-esteem, then it takes us so much energy to move forward. When you have positive self-esteem, you do begin to blossom like a beautiful flower. So a look in the mirror. We're going to look at the power of a positive self-esteem. Self-esteem is the single most significant key to a person's behavior. Low self-esteem puts a ceiling on our potential. Now, before we go any further, I want to just share a story about me several years ago as I was at a point in my life and in my career where I was just struggling about where I was going to go. I had some pretty low self-esteem, not to the point where I was not able to do things, but I just couldn't make the right decision or the decision that I needed to make at that point in time in my life. I managed to get on a coaching call, which was shocking that I was even selected for this, to speak directly with John Maxwell. I was coached personally by this gentleman. I mean, I had a conversation with him on the phone, and I told him, I said, hey, I said, John, I said, I'm at a point where I'm 63 years old, and I'm struggling about where I need to go because people are telling me that I need to retire. I need to just not do anything. I need to be sitting on my deck, enjoying the flowers and the birds and playing golf and all of those things. But that wasn't me. I knew that there was something else that I wanted to do. And I can remember the conversation I had with him, and I can remember the words that he said to me. He said, Jim, you need not worry about what other people are saying about you. You need to think about what you are saying about you. So it wasn't what they were telling me, it's what I'm telling me to help me move forward. And it was at that point that I realized that, okay, I got to change some things. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So the next point is the value we place on ourselves, is the value others will also place on us. So if I'm putting value on myself and people are also putting that same value, it just lowers my self-esteem to a point where I couldn't make the right decision to move forward. If you place a small value on yourself, rest assured that the world will not raise that value for you. It will be right there where you believe you are. Let me repeat that because I think it's so important. If you place a small value on yourself, rest assured the world will not raise that price or the value that you have established. So let's talk about some steps to building our self-esteem. And of course, the first one I just sort of shared a little bit about, and that's to guard our self-talk. What are you telling yourself? I know I was not telling myself a lot of good, positive things. In fact, I was telling myself that maybe you're too old, maybe you're past your prime, maybe you should give this up. But the reality is that I have much to give. I have much to offer. And it was those words that John Maxwell shared with me. He says, look, he says, here's the thing, you have great value. I applaud you for wanting to do more, but you need to do it. You need to do it now because you don't have that great father time on your side. So whatever it is you're going to do, go do it. Decide, start talking positively about yourself and put the right words in your mind. Have that positive self-talk. And you know, there are hundreds and hundreds of books written on this subject alone about self-affirming words that you can share with yourself, that you put up on the wall that said that, hey, I am good, I'm successful, I can move forward, I can accomplish this, I can accomplish that. You need to do the same thing as it relates to your Shackley business. Where do you see yourself going? Where do you want to be with your Shackley business? One of the great books that John Maxwell wrote is called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And in that book, he talks about the law of the lid, which basically says on a scale of 1 to 10, we all have a place that we fall. And wherever that place is, if it's a 4 or a 5, let's say it's a 5, is your lid, that's as far as you see yourself going, then reality is that you can only go as high as a 4 because the 5 is the lid and you can't reach there. So you have to raise the lid, and to do that, we have to change our self-talk. To do that, we have to do the things to build ourselves up, to grow ourselves so that we can be better at what we do. Guard your self-talk. What we say about ourselves, we tend to believe. What we believe, we tend to act. And what we act, we tend to become. No world record was ever set by someone who said, I cannot do this. You know that those folks, you know, Michael Phelps, do you think he said, you know what? I've been going to the Olympics for a lot of years now. I just don't think I can do it one more time. The man blew him away. You think he had some positive self-talk in all of that? I am absolutely sure he did. The next thing we want to do to help us build our self-esteem is stop comparing ourselves to others. Wow. Boy, that's a big thing in the Shackley business. I can tell you that right now. Oh, I want to be the next Jeannie Tuvell. I want to be the next Rick Seymour. I want to be the next presidential master coordinator. Wait a minute. You got to be who you are and grow there. Don't compare yourself. Look at who you are. Find out where you need to go and develop the skill sets that are required to get there. You know, making comparisons is an amazingly powerful attraction that is really just an unneeded distraction to our own potential. Don't be distracted about the success of others. Think about you. What are you becoming? How are you becoming? What are you doing to grow your business? The next one is to move beyond your own self-limiting beliefs. Wow. Now that's one that really, really strikes home with me. I have been in that boat for many years. In fact, I have a banner that they gave us as John Maxwell coaches that I can put up at workshops and things that I do. And I had to select a quote to go on my banner. And my banner says this. It says, "You're never too old to overcome your self-limiting beliefs." And Charles Schwab said it this way. He says, "When a man puts a limit on what he will do, he places a limit on what he can do." And I put limits on myself all the time. I would tell myself that I can't go and make speeches. I can't go and do teachings. I can't help other people. The truth fact is that I have been gifted with some talents to be able to actually do a good job at that. So what are some things that we can do to transform our limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs? Well, in your notes, you will see 4 things that we can do. First, let's identify a limiting belief that you want to change. What is that one thing that stops you, that holds you back, that allows you to remain in the comfort zone instead of getting up and getting out of the comfort zone? What is that limitation? What is that one thing that is holding you back? The second thing is determine how that belief limits you. Well, mine was about thinking, because I had done the studying. I have the experience. I have been doing coaching and training for over 25 years. So what's my problem? What's holding me back? It's that one thing that's stuck in my mind that says, you're not quite good enough. You're not quite smart enough. The lid was so low, I couldn't get above it. That goes back to some early days, which I'll not get into those discussions today. Then we need to decide how we want to act, feel, or think. Write some affirmations about what you really want to feel and think and act, and how you want to act. And the fourth one is create a turnaround statement that affirms or gives you permission to act, feel, and think differently. For me, there's a sign over here on my wall about a training that I want to go to in March of next year. I am going to in March of next year. There are some things that I have to do to be prepared to go to that training. And so I have set those things up so I can see them, so I'll know. The first thing is I have the date, so I'll know what the date is that I want to go. Because if I don't put it on my calendar, that's certainly going to mean I'm probably not going. So it is on my calendar. I have scheduled it and I'm ready. Now I need to take the steps to do the things. So I have a turnaround statement for me that I am going to the John Maxwell live event in March of 2017 at the World Marriott in Orlando, Florida. So what are your turnaround statements? What are the things that are going to help you with your self-limiting beliefs? Now, I do a training that is just completely on self-limiting beliefs by itself. So I know a little bit about this subject because I have lived it for 66 years. And every day I learn a little bit more about how to overcome those self-limiting beliefs. Another way to add value or add to our positive self-esteem is to go out and add value to others. I've heard this said by many people: if you're feeling down and you're not feeling like you're worthy, go do something for somebody else. Go add value to somebody else. but go add value to somebody who can't repay you for what you're doing for them. You will feel better and they will feel better. So the next thing we need to do this is a great quote from Henry Ford. I don't have it in my notes, but I love this quote, and I know many of you've heard this as it relates to moving forward, whether you think you can or whether you think you can. In either way, you're right. So the next point is do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing to do. When I served in the Air Force, we had core values that we said we lived by, worked by, performed by. Those three core values were integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And integrity, to me, is doing the right thing, even if it's the hard thing, or doing the right thing, even when nobody's there watching you. The next thing we can do is practice the small disciplines daily. If you've ever listened to Jim Rohn, he talks a lot about the daily disciplines. You can't become successful in a day, but it's the things that you do daily that help you become successful. You can't change your self-esteem in a day, but you can change it by doing positive things on a day-to-day basis, by telling yourself that you are capable, that you are successful, that you are growing, that you can become whatever it is you decide that you want to become. You can grow by doing those things daily and day after day. Being true to yourself and your values is a tremendous self-esteem builder. And every time you take action that builds your character, you become a stronger person. And the harder the risk, the greater the character builder. Celebrate. The next thing is to celebrate small victories. You know, it doesn't matter. In fact, I just heard, I don't know if you people are familiar with Ivan Meisner. Ivan Meisner is the founder and visionary officer for Business Networking International, and I actually had the opportunity to meet and chat with him last week and heard him speak several times during the week. And one of the things that he talked about is that we often fail to celebrate the small victories. We think about those things that are big. You know, I won the trip to Italy. But wait a minute, what about the small victories that you had to take and gain to get there? Are you celebrating those? What about those team members that helped you? Are you celebrating your team members who really put you in the position so that you could earn that trip? We need to celebrate every victory that we can find and lift people up and recognize them and celebrate them. The next thing is we can embrace a positive image for our life. What do you dream about? I could post another picture right here from our week in Orlando for the global conference. And it's the picture as we're entering Disney World. And right under it says Walt Disney World, but right under that it says where dreams come true. So what are your dreams? What are your visions? What are your positive visions for your life? What is it that you see for your future? You have to embrace it. You have to hold on to it like it is your most wonderful possession. Squeeze it like it's a beautiful little grandbaby. Embrace a positive image for your life. Embrace a positive image for your Shackley business. You can do it. We can do it. The next thing we can do is we can practice the one-word strategies. And what do I mean by one-word strategies? If you could describe yourself in one word, what would you use? Well, I hope it's a positive word. But what is your one-word strategy? If you could pick only one word to describe you, what would it be? Well, I hope it's a good one. I really do. I hope that you have, like I have, chosen one word, and that's positive. You might have another word, but for me, I'm positive. Well, the last bullet, which there it is down at the bottom. It says, take responsibility for your life. I guess it's been a couple years ago now, Dale and I had the opportunity. We went down to Tony and Debbie Underwood's training down in Orlando, and they had one of their guest speakers come in. His name is Dr. Robert Rome. And Dr. Rome is a professional disc personality expert. He is amazing. He's hilarious. He does great trainings. And of course, he was selling stuff, but it was good stuff because I bought it, and it had to be good if I bought it. So just kidding. But it was good. It was a couple of really good books that I bought. But one of the things that came with the book set that I bought was a little placard that says, I'm responsible. I'm responsible. We had it sitting on our mantle. I think Dale had a party here a couple of weeks ago, and she moved it to the kitchen, I believe now. But it's still there, and we can still see it every day. It says, I am responsible. Sadly, in this world today, everybody wants to blame somebody for everything that happens to them. The bottom line, folks, is it's about us. It's about what we are willing to take responsibility for. Nothing happens to us that we're not responsible for. We can blame others, but it's about us. We have to take full responsibility for our personal growth, for our self-esteem, for our Shackley businesses, for our financial freedom. Whatever it is, it's our responsibility. You cannot blame or give somebody else that responsibility. We have to accept that. So what are you not taking responsibility for? Do you have a plan for personal growth? Do you have a plan to grow your business? Do you have a plan for your financial future? You know, most people plan their vacations better than they plan their future. Are you doing things today that your future life will thank you for? I hope being on this call is one of those things. So which mirror are you looking in? Are you looking in the mirror that's cracked, that has no way for you to see where you are or where you're going? Or are you looking in the mirror as this cat is doing with the reflection of a lion? I would challenge you to choose wisely. I would challenge you to take a look at becoming the lion in your life. So how can you apply the law to the law of the mirror to your life? I would start by making a list of my best personal qualities. I would second start looking at those things that impact my personal self-esteem. Are you aware of how you talk about yourself? Why don't you keep track by using your smartphone or an index card or something to write down and note what you're saying to yourself, both positive and negative? Because you are, I'm sure, saying some good things to yourselves. I say good things to myself. Well, sometimes I say good things about myself. The third thing I would do is I would take time every day, every week, and spend it focusing on others and adding value to them. The rewards that you will receive will be exponential. There's nothing greater than to find ways to serve and add value to others on a weekly basis, whether it's your team, whether it's your community, wherever. Find a way to add value to others. Well, I think this is one of the most important lessons of the entire book, because I think it's, as was stated in the very beginning, that as our self-esteem goes, so does the rest of our thinking. As I said, self-esteem is the single most significant key to a person's behavior, whether positive or negative. It starts with a positive self-esteem. With a positive self-esteem, you increase the chances of growing your potential. Let me wrap up with one other quick story that you may have heard or may not have heard, but there's a little book called 2012. I'm sorry, 212, 2012. That was a few years ago. 212. The number 210 might not mean anything to you. The number 211 might not be anything to you, but 212 should ring a bell. But if it doesn't, think about this. At 211 degrees, water is pretty doggone hot. In fact, you might even see a few little ripples start to move across that temperature. But when that water reaches 212 degrees, just 1 degree more of energy being expended, that water begins to bubble and steam begins to come from the top of the water, and energy is released, and that water is boiling hot. Do you know what steam can do? Steam can move locomotives. Steam can run great engines. It can generate tremendous power when it's captured And when it's finally released, the energy can move massive, massive pieces of equipment. So if you increase your level of energy by 1%, 1% a week or 1% a month, what will that do to change you and your business and your life? Thoughts to ponder. I hope you enjoyed today's call. If you have questions, Dale's going to open up the video, I believe. She's working on it. Anyway, let's see. You can unmute yourself if you want to chat.
We think this is Zoom. We're still figuring it out.
I have no control, so.
Thank you. This looks like a great platform for webinars. Let's see. Audio option. Nope. Tell everybody I'm really not sure.
Well, Dale is not sure how to allow you to chat. We will definitely have the chat available next week. It's not. We know it works because I'm actually a participant in the call, and I have access to the call, and I'm able to speak. So we must be able to allow others to chat as well. We'll figure that out for next week. In the meantime, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in and send them to us in the chat. We'll be glad to try to respond. Otherwise, we certainly enjoyed having you on the call today. We will not meet next week. I will record the next session and send it to you. I will be talking about the law of reflection, which is another great lesson that is put together by John Maxwell. The following week, I will do 2 sessions back to back, meaning in one session. I'm going to try to get these knocked out, not in 15 weeks, of course, but before sooner than that, and we will certainly let you know what lessons we're on as we move forward. But next week, I will record the lesson on the law of reflection, and then I will start putting together calls with 2 lessons. We will have 2 lessons during the call. And there may be a couple of others that I will do as a full 35-minute lesson. Otherwise, we will do 2 of them. I hope you, I hope you enjoyed today's call, and I look forward to hearing you in the future on other calls. And for now, it's been a great day. I hope you have a great week.